Assalamu alaikum students. In the previous lecture there was an introduction to the three forms of communication, which are verbal, non-verbal and graphic. And today we will focus primarily upon non-verbal communication and its role in any communication setting. So we will start with the four types of non-verbal messages, which are the personal, cultural, universal, and there are some which are unrelated to any message. So personal non-verbal attributes are those which are unique to every individual. Every person has got his or her own way of communicating non-verbally in certain situations. Whereas cultural non-verbal communication is something which is common to a group of people, to a certain society or culture, and the people who grow up in a certain culture or society, they adopt and learn those non-verbal behaviors which are common to that particular culture. Universal non-verbal communication is something which is common to all mankind, like the attribute of laughing, smiling, crying, etc. And then there are some non-verbal attributes which do not have any impact upon your non-verbal communication, like upon your communication, like sneezing or coughing while you are communicating with individuals. So let's start with the non-verbal communication. Firstly, we would see that what that is. So you know that non-verbal communication is any communication that takes place without the use of any word or the words. So that could take place through any means other than words. And the second thing that you already know is that the non-verbal components, they exist in your oral communication, in your written communication, as well as in your graphic communication. And if used effectively, then they could enhance the impact of your communication. They could reinforce the impact of your message that you want to convey. But conversely, if you are not able to come up with a very effective nonverbal communication, or if your nonverbal communication do not match with the verbal part of your message, then that's not going to have a right or effective impact upon your communication. Rather, that's going to modify or change the like what you wanted to convey. That would have a modified impact upon the people. They would not believe in whatever you would say, and you would lose your credibility. So the purpose of doing this non-verbal communication is to actually make you familiar with the importance of non-verbal communication, and in a way that also is kind of an act which highlights the importance of non-verbal communication, that you needed to work at the components of your non-verbal communication in order to come up as an effective communicator. So because if there is a time when there is a mismatch between your verbal and non-verbal part of the message, so what would the people do? What would they believe in? You want to convey a very serious message, but there is a little smile on your face. Then what would the people do? They would believe in your smile or in your verbal part of the message? Yes, definitely the smile. Because the non-verbal messages, they are most often, they are honest, they are less cautious. Therefore, the people tend to believe more in the non-verbals than the verbals whenever there is some contradiction. Therefore, here what we would do, we would go through the different components of nonverbal communication. We would identify our own patterns of nonverbal communication, and then we would see that where the improvement is needed. So let's move on and see that what are the nonverbal components. So these include the appearance and surroundings. Definitely your appearance, if you are doing some oral communication, you are a part of some setting, this is important that you needed to work at your appearance, and you also needed to work at the surroundings, because these are the things which are going to make and build a very first impression on the onlooker, and they would have a direct impact upon what you say. Then there are the body language elements, which are also called kinesics. Kinesics is the study of the body language, which include your posture, the way you stand up, the way you sit down. This is actually your body movement while you are sitting or standing and while you are moving. So definitely you needed to come up with an upright posture whenever you want to communicate or convey an idea. because you want to assert your message, because you want to make the people believe in what you say. Therefore you needed to come up with an upright posture. Instead of that, if you would come up with some postures like which are given over here, you may have a look at the people. There are some who are standing like this and like this. So these are the odd awkward postures which are not going to have a good impact upon your onlooker, and you would lose the impact of your message. Then there are the gestures and the movements. The gestures have a direct impact upon what you say. The way you would move your head, the way you would move your hands, your limbs. So these are going to either reinforce the impact of your message, or they are going to just have an inverse impact. That there are some awkward gestures, there are some positive gestures. So instead, like for instance, if we want to point out towards somebody, so instead of using our index finger, we should use the palm of our hand in order to, because that's more respectable. And with this we will move on. And secondly, we needed to, for the movement, I would say, whenever we talk to the people, we needed to make use of little movement and try not to come up with a very fixed static body posture, because that would have a direct your audience, that the audience is directly linked with you. If you won't move, if your head won't move, the audience head will not move, and definitely that would result in some neck crane. The audience would get bored easily and they would lose their attention. So a little movement, a little natural movement, and the use of positive natural gestures, they are an aid. Then the face and eyes. Yeah, definitely the facial expression. The facial expression, whenever you are a part of any formal setting, you must be coming up with a very formal face. So when I would say a formal facial expression, that would mean a very composed face, and which is not, definitely we are the human beings, we may be having certain emotions or feelings at certain moment. Maybe we are not feeling very much relaxed or energetic at some point of time, or we are worried, or we are angry, or so we would try our level best that these kinds of expressions would not be shown through our face. So our face must be composed, keen, attentive, because the kind of a facial expression that we would have, the definitely our audience is going to come up with the same or the similar kind of a facial expression. There must not be any kind of a boredom or tiredness upon our face, or our face must not be aggressive. Neither our face is going to convey any kind of a message which is not respectful or formal. We needed to work at our facial expression, that they must be composed whenever we communicate with the people in any setting. By eyes, we mean the eye contact. So having an eye contact and not having an eye contact, that has consequences. If you are able to make an eye contact, you are going to get a lot of positive outcomes. Like, first of all, you would be able to maintain your credibility through your eye contact. Secondly, you would be able to analyze the audience while you are talking. If you have made an eye contact, only then you would be able to analyze them, that if they are feeling bored or tired, or if they are getting along with the message, so that you may adjust your speech, your presentation, your talk accordingly. And if you are not able to make an eye contact, then the very first adverse reaction that you may get from the people is that they may lose their attention. You would lose your credibility, because they would not believe in you that you are a trusted individual. And making an eye contact is also a way of engaging the people and keeping them attentive in your message, towards your message. And that also would mean that your audience is important, that you wanted to keep them involved in your message, and that's more respectful. Therefore, if you want to come up as an effective individual, you try working on your eye contact. And eye contact would also involve certain time limit. If you're able to make an eye contact more than that is desired, then it would be turned into a stare. And secondly, you would also try not to keep an eye contact only with a certain group of people. Rather, you would try that you're going to keep all the individuals in your setting in your eye contact. Then there is the voice and sounds, which is also called paralanguage. And paralanguage is the study of the voice and sounds, and that involves a lot of vocal cues like the volume that you may come up with, the pitch of your voice, the tone of your voice, your accent, your inflections, your pauses, your fillers like these are also the part of your voice. And so how do you deliver your message? How do you deliver the verbal part of your message? And by using what kind of a pitch and a tone, and if are you audible or not, and what is the rate of your speech? Is that easy for the people to follow you, or you are just racing ahead and people are just trying desperately to follow you? So this paralanguage is also a very important part of the nonverbal communication. Then there is silence, time, and space. So silence in your responses, silence in your surroundings that convey a message. Whenever you come up, anybody would pose some kind of a question and you needed to respond back. So how much time do you take in responding to them? That's going to convey a lot about your personality. And then the time. So basically that means that we needed to come up to the expectations of the silence, like how much silence is required. If there is the kind of a question that would demand a little moment to reflect upon, then definitely you're not just going to come up with an abrupt answer, because that's going to show that you have got what kind of a personality have you got. So you needed to come up to the expectations. And the time, the study of time is called chronamics. This is important, that you needed to come up exactly the same way to the requirement of time. Like these are the your patterns of behavior, like do you observe time or you don't observe time, and do you, that also involve that when you are a part of any organization, when do you submit your assignments, your work, do you meet deadlines, and when do you arrive for any kind of a meeting, or when do you arrive to work? Is that, are you usually late most often, are you usually on time, or you are early than the given time? So that's going to convey a lot of detail upon about your personality. So your observance of time is actually very, very much important, and a very loud indicator of your personality. Then space, this is also called, the study of space is called proxemics. How much space do you maintain when talking to the people? That's kind of a distance that you maintain while talking to the people. Here I have some slides upon this thing, the idea of space. Yeah, whenever you talk to the people, you need to make sure that there is a respectful distance among you, between you, so the people would feel comfortable while talking to you. You don't tower over other people, and try to maintain the distance, which would make people easy and comfortable talking to you. For that, you would see that what are the standard what is the standard distance that must be kept, that is usually required by your particular organization, as well as you may assess it yourself too, that whenever you talk to people, do they feel easy with this distance or not? So that's also very, very much important. We must keep in mind all these nonverbal attributes if we want to come up as successful communicators. And I have shared with you a reader too. You may go through that, you may go through these books for a better understanding and for the extensive or intensive study of the given topic. Thank you for today.